Sunday, one and all, and welcome to the Cliff Ellis Show. I'm your host, Brandon Dunn, along with Coastal Carolina men's basketball coach Cliff Ellis. The Chanticleers concluding the season and the conference tournament. They were heading to postseason play in the CIT, but unfortunately, with regards to how everything's been shut down, Coach, that is not going to take place, and that's disheartening considering what you and your team were able to accomplish this year.
Well, we were able to come along and make things happen. We played well down the stretch. We had some injuries. We had a tough year in many aspects, losing Ebo, and we had things that happened, but we played well down the stretch. We beat Utah. We were really one of the few teams that gave Baylor a run. But this whole thing has changed. The NCAA has basically shut everything down. All games are shut down, but we're seeing that across our country. The NBA has suspended their game. The NHL, now, from what I understand, the Masters is being called off. We're in a very tough time with our country. I've not seen anything like this, Brandon, in my life. I guess the closest thing that I would say to it was the HIV virus that came out that did this. But we're basically, as a country, on a lockdown. And we're in a major recruiting time because basically the signing period is mid-April. Now there's been a mandate as of Friday afternoon that recruiting is being shut down until April the 15th. So we as a university, we as a basketball team program, see where this thing is going and try to get it stabilized. And so we'll have to let the powers that be, the doctors, the medical teams, kind of tell us where to go and try to keep everybody as safe as possible. But we do need a rallying point, and I wish basketball or something were there that we could do that with, but unfortunately, we're all just going to have to kind of take a wait-and-see approach and hope that the higher-ups and the people that are making these decisions, and I know that they will do the thing that's in the best interest of everybody.
Do you think as a head coach that maybe the NCAA should have followed suit with the other major sports to suspend play for 30 days, kind of reevaluate where it is, and play the NCAA tournament if there was an opportunity down the road? Because it's not like it's time-stamped, where you have to do it in March, that maybe they could have done it in May or maybe even in June when there's nothing going on to get fans engaged and let this play out. But to cancel it all together without maybe having other options on the table.
Well, you're asking me for an opinion, and this is one person's opinion. If it were me and I had made the decision with regards to it, I would have probably suspended the play at least, for two or 3 weeks. I would have suspended and then made a decision. But I wasn't in that position, and I'm not going to criticize or be critical because, it may be the right thing to do. That would have been, I would have suspended as opposed to count because of the student athlete. And then at that point in time, if things hadn't changed by April 1, then we go, okay, we've given this thing a shot.
Let's go into these highlights between the Chanticleers and the Mavericks, get things going here early on. And Coach alluded to it just a minute ago, a very good game back and forth the first couple of minutes. And it just seemed like we realized early on that this game was going to go down to the wire.
Yes, it was back and forth. We had the momentum early. Brandon, in the second half, they got it. They actually got up to an 8-point lead or so. But when it got to the 5-minute mark, and I think we were somewhere along that line. We got the lead at one point. It was back and forth.
It was a low-scoring affair in the first half, Coach. We haven't seen a lot of those this season, but it seemed like both teams were kind of struggling to get the ball to go in the hoop. But then again, you could say that both teams were playing stellar defense.
I think it was the best defensive effort that we've had. Now, sometimes you match up with certain teams the way you want to match up with for whatever reason. Texas Arlington, they lost 3 of their, what did they lose? 10 conference games. They were 10 and 10. They lost 3 of their games to us. And we matched up with them well, and it was just one of those matchups. But our defense understood what they did in their style. Their style worked for who we were. So I think it was, without question, it was our best defensive game.
As we hit the half, the Chanticleers were trailing 34-29 as this one went into the break. And at that point, Coach, you knew that the second half was going to either go one way or the other. It was either going to be a battle or one of these teams was going to take the bull by the horns. So what was your message at the break?
At the break, it's anybody's ball game. Let's keep doing what we're doing. Our defense is good. It's solid. We've found some areas on the offensive side we can go to. Let's take them, and we're going to win this game.
We open up the second half with some free throw shooting. Devontae Jones, though, delivering as he has. He hits the first 4 buckets for Coastal to start the first half, but this game was still a 5-point edge by the Mavericks with 17 minutes to go.
Right. And like you said, it's going to be that kind of game, and we got to keep our focus on both ends of the floor because it's going to get down to the last few possessions of the game.
The Mavericks do, however, go on a run, about a 3-minute run, where they push that lead to 46-37. Coach, you called a timeout at that point. What was the message then, knowing that you were down not by 5, but now more so?
We've got to get stops. We've got to protect the basketball. We got to continue to get good shots. We're going to win this game.
Garrett Green coming up big with 5 minutes to go, cuts that Maverick lead to 1, so now it's down to a 1-point game. Almost a minute later, Tyrell Gums-Frater, who we'll talk about here shortly, hits a jumper, and that would give Coastal their first lead of the second half.
Well, and now is when it's going to get back and forth because we're making plays, they're making plays, and we got to continue to try to touch the paint, keep our turnovers down, and we got to lock down. And, we know that they're going to go to Azar, they're going to go to Phillips, they're going to go to Warren, so we got to make sure that other people make plays.
You talked about David Azar, 14 ticks left on the clock.
Yep.
They're down 1. He hits a jumper. Now they're up 1. There's only 14 seconds to go. At that point, Coach, we've got to come up with a strategy.
Well, we do, and he hit a tough shot. If you saw it was inside the three-point line. He knocked it down, and he got fouled. Fortunately, he missed the free throw. And then we get the ball and come down, and then the ball goes out of bounds, and we get to set up a play, and the play works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but it's one of those times where it worked.
Tyrell Gums-Frater, he's a senior, and you could tell that he was ready to go. He gets the guy to jump on the ball fake.
Right.
Cans that jumper. There's your ball game.
Well, he went for the ball fake, but if you notice, we thought they would key on DJ and really think about him with regards to it. That proved to be true, and it gave Ty, who went away from the basket, to take his guy out of the play. When he got the play, the guy was out of position. He pump faked him, knocked it in, and we could tell when the ball left his hand, we knew it was going in.
And Coastal Carolina wins a thriller 63-62 to advance in the Sun Belt Conference tournament. Big win on the road, 3rd time that the Chanticleers knocked out the Mavericks this year. And as anybody who follows sports, beating a team twice is hard enough. Beating them 3 times is almost impossible.
And we beat them twice in Arlington. Mm-hmm. So, you go in and beat a team twice at their place, that's pretty impressive. But I thought with our guys, down the stretch, we really were starting to come around and do some things. And we felt good going into Appalachian State, yet we knew we'd been on the road. And, this thing is going to be turned around. It's Saturday. We got to immediately now travel and get to Charlotte. And we get there late because we can't fly out that night. We spend the night, and then we go to Boone, and we put the strategy together, and I think we simply ran out of gas.
All right, Coach, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll switch gears. We'll talk about the game in Boone against App State, which was the Chanticleers' second appearance there in about 10 days. We're going to have those highlights for you coming up next here on The Cliff Ellis Show. We'll be right back.
The Cliff Ellis Show is brought to you by Logan Steakhouse.
For us, nice is more than a smiling face. Nice is competitive interest rates and cashback benefits with a rewards checking program. Visit a Crestcom Bank location or apply online today. Crestcom Bank. Have a nice bank.
You wear many hats, and HTC knows what you need to keep the day running smoothly. You're an entertainment coordinator, appointment maker, and business superhero. You're a personal chef, chauffeur extraordinaire, and a trusted protector. No matter where life takes you, HTC keeps you connected by bringing world-class technology right here to Horry and Georgetown counties, because you are here, and so are we. HTC, this is life. Connect with it.
At Logan's Roadhouse, we grill up sizzling Southern-inspired flavor using time-honored recipes we've collected and perfected over time. From the inviting aromas of our wood-fired grilled steaks to our delicious from-scratch dishes with seasonings you can see, we know how to bring out food's true flavor. And when you pair our food with an ice-cold beer or our handcrafted Roadhouse tea, you'll understand why Logan's Roadhouse is much more than a restaurant. Come to where steak rules the road. Logan's Roadhouse.
Waccamaw Land and Timber has been serving the Grand Strand since 1982. The ultimate goal of Waccamaw Land and Timber is the best interest of both the buyer and the seller. If you're looking for a place to relax, hunt, or fish, the professionals at Waccamaw Land and Timber can find you the perfect recreational property. Call 449-0441 to discuss your real estate needs with Waccamaw Land and Timber.
Welcome back here to the Cliff Ellis Show. Coach, you have seen a lot of Boone, North Carolina over the span of 2.5 weeks. You went up there during the regular season, second to last game. You won for the first time, big road game for you, put you in position to quite possibly host a tournament game, but you were able to be successful, and you knew that if this team could get back there, that maybe you could be successful again because you did it once.
That's right, and we'd beaten Texas Arlington twice on their court. We're coming off with momentum. They didn't have to travel, we did. I think their game preparation, they had a lot longer to prepare for us than we did. We got off to a great start. We knew exactly what to do, and our focus going from Arlington to Boone was we've got to keep our legs under us. Let's kind of take ourselves back a week or so ago to when we played and how we had success, and we showed a lot of film, and our guys really went in and did some great things and took the game plan that we have always had against them and made it work. So we get off to a good lead. Things are going our way, but you're on the road, and keep that. Our last regular season game, we kept the fans out of the game, and it was a packed house. The last regular season, they were on spring break. It wasn't a packed house, but they still have a vocal crowd. App State has good fan support. We got to keep them out of the game, but unfortunately, in the second half, the guys started making plays, and we couldn't keep the fans out either. So they had a good 6-man.
All right, let's go in these highlights between the Chanticleers and the Mountaineers. And as Coach just said, the Chanticleers get off to a nice start. They jump out to a 7-3 lead. Coach, anytime you're on the road, that's the way you want to start.
Absolutely. We talk about it all the time on the show. First 5 minutes, let's roll.
That's true, and I hear a lot of folks that watch the show always say, Coach always says first 5 minutes, and the first 5 minutes were clearly the Chanticleers as you jumped out to a 5-point lead with 15 minutes to go.
Yep, and it's going to continue to build, and we're going to make some plays, and we had a lot of guys making shots, and DJ was doing, he was on his horse riding, and we were riding him some.
All right, well, as we hit the 13-minute mark, that lead balloons now to 12-6. But back come the Mountaineers. You can only hold those guys down for so long as they cut that lead into a 1-point edge for them at 13-12 with 9 minutes to go.
Yeah, well, we'd been pressing, and then we'd had some defensive work. Now they've figured out, because we'd played them earlier, a week or so ago, they really are into what our defense is. We've got to change our strategy.
3-point shooting continued to be a plus for the Chanticleers as they were riding that for a while. Gums Frater hits one, and then Devontae Jones comes back with less than a minute to go. And now it's a 14-point edge, Coach, as we wind down the first half.
Yeah, just a good first half. Good first half, and it's going to take us into the locker room feeling good, but we know, hey, it's just one half. And we went in at halftime and said the score is 0-0. 0-0. Because we know they're going to make a run. And guess what? As we see this first 5 minutes of the second half, guess who gets control of it? App State.
And we go right into the second half, and Coach is right. They come back. 3-point shooting helps out the cause. Justin Forrest doing what he does helps out the Mountaineers as they start climbing back into this one. And it just seemed like they got a little bit momentum, and when that momentum shifted, it went their way, and they just kind of started chipping away.
Well, we're trying to hold on. We're trying to make some shots, and they're going to the free throw line. We're not able to get to the free throw line. just a lot of things. Fans are into the game. We've got to try to stop the bleeding.
Tyrell Gums-Frater coming up big at the 13:54 mark. Hits one here, and that would give Coastal an 8-point lead. So the Mavericks were able to cut into that edge, but the Chanticleers were able to kind of stop the bleeding for a minute there and extend their lead back to an 8-point edge. Garrett Green's three here continues that success. But from that point on, Coach, it just seemed that the Mountaineers, that momentum shift was going their direction. And when you stopped the bleeding the last time, this time was a different story.
Yeah, and they've got some key players. You mentioned Justin Forrest. He's an all-conference player. Isaac Johnson, he's a power forward that really just started making some plays. He and C-Cat, they're big guys. They started making plays for him, and that was a big factor for them. I thought that Johnson's play in this stretch run, he was willing himself to try to get a win for his team.
Williams with a three for the Mountaineers would cut that Coastal lead to 2. So what was a once 8-point edge is now a 2-point edge, and 3-point shooting is going down for the Mountaineers. And when that happens, things tend to go your direction.
Yeah, it's the way it is. They've got momentum going, and we're trying to stop the bleed.
Williams hits some free throws. Justin Forrest, Coach alluded to what a monster he is. Hit some free throws as well, and those free throw shooting would be the difference in this one, as the Mountaineers would build a 3-point edge on free throw shooting. Coach, they thought they shot 38 free throws. You guys shot 7. I've never heard that in my life. I'm sorry, I've been watching basketball a long time, but that seems a bit odd to me.
Yeah, well, that's 31 attempts, and we lose by 3. I'd say that's the difference in the game.
Yeah, and it was, Coach, because once they took that lead, free throw shooting was the difference maker down the stretch, because they were getting the opportunities, they were hitting the free throws. You guys had to play basketball and not get those freebies, and that was a big difference.
Well, it was the difference in the game. I did think our legs went, but the fact that I think the free throw line that was totally it. I mean, we could say a lot of things, but that's where this game gets down to.
Coastal Carolina goes on and loses this one 70-65 as their run to a Sun Belt Conference tournament title came to a close in Boone. But unfortunately, as we just alluded to earlier in the show, Coach, it didn't matter because the conference tournament got canceled, so there is no champion for this season. But you still would like to go out with a win, excuse me, if that was going to be the case.
Well, and we would have continued playing. I think the way we finished, like we said, we were going to get to the CIT, a postseason bid. And, but as we've talked about, the game's been shut down. So anyway, we take what it is and we move forward. And now the next phase is going to be getting ready for the next year, and recruiting is a big factor, and we're in that process, yet it's on a hold. And so we're just going to manage the situation that we have and make sure that we come back. We have got a great group of guys coming back. I mean, think about this, Brandon, with regards to it. With Ebo and with DJ back, I mean, look at the success we've had when they've been healthy. Now we've got to keep these guys.
Yeah, and been a big issue.
Yeah, and Ebo's getting healed. He's actually getting where he can get some shots up and things of this type. DJ, as we talked about, and this thing about DJ, he played at the end of the season. He was probably 70 to 80%.
Yeah, he played a lot.
Yeah, he played, but the bone that's connected to the screw that they put in his foot did not heal. So he was not healthy at the end of the year. So you take that, and then you take the freshmen that got the experience here, you take the recruiting class. I think we're going to make a run at the title. I really do. I think we would have made a run this year based on what I saw with Utah Baylor. But, injuries you can't control. You do the best you can with it. I think our team did the best they could under the circumstances. But I really, really like this coming team.
All right, well, the future is very bright for Coastal Carolina, but this show is not over yet, and we've got some more basketball news to bring you here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more on Levi Cook, the transfer. He is coming along in his Coastal career. His story's coming up next. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Cliff Ellis Show is brought to you by Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine.
At its heart, above all else, A&I has had a long-standing commitment to the community.
Our driving force is our dedication to the people we serve.
From Myrtle Beach to Florence.
Wilmington to Charleston.
Every job is different, and every community is unique.
No matter what disaster has brought us to you.
It's our commitment that will keep us here. We're proud to be celebrating 40 years of service to the Carolinas.
And we're looking forward to 40 more.
Another trial, another battle. Where's your strength? Tenacity. What's your history? Fighting for my clients in court. But what sustains me now is working with three of the finest individuals I've ever known. My family. There's power in family. Power for our clients. Fighting for your rights is my family's business.
Britain Law. Born to fight, bred to win. When you bring the indoors outdoors, there are no rules.
Locals love Creek Rats for dinner. They rave about the nightly specials and how much they enjoy the live music. But when you experience that incredible waterfront view, you get that relaxed Creek Rats attitude. Waterfront on the Marsh Walk in Murrells Inlet.
The Cliff Ellis Show is brought to you by A&I Fire and Water Restoration.
Welcome back here, Coach Levi Cook. You got a stellar athlete who came out of high school as a five-star recruit,
Right.
and you alluded to it. It's not very often that Coastal gets an opportunity to get a five-star. You have one on the floor, and he's coming along.
Well, he is. Let's keep in mind he had surgery this past summer and fall, and so he was out for a period of time. So, you know, he had to get his knee situation. I don't think he fully recovered. Didn't get the weight off that he needed to be, but he sure gave us some good games, especially against teams that had power. He's a young man that we think a lot of, and he certainly came out of high school as a heralded young man, and hopefully we'll see that here in the near future.
All right, here's more on Levi Cook.
I think last year was really my first year playing basketball in like a year and a half, so just that in itself was a big transformation, but just mainly just getting back in the flow of it, getting back to the speed of it, how fast the game is and all that. It's really been my biggest challenge.
Injuries, among other things, put Levi Cook behind the 8 ball, so to speak. Coming out of high school, Cook was considered one of the best, but issues derailed his time at DePaul, sending him to Marshall, which eventually led him to CCU.
I think I just learned a lot. I think in both schools I learned a lot of basketball, you know, just knowledge, just learning how to play in the Big East with the bigs in the Big East. And I had a good coach there. His name was Rick Carter. He taught me a whole lot. In Marshall, you feel me? They just got my basketball confidence so high that it helped me in so many areas. So I just think I just learned how to be you feel me, just an all-around player, just going to both of them schools.
Even though his time at DePaul and Marshall didn't pan out, he was able to grow as a player, facing tough competition while continuing to learn the game.
We say if we can just get that 5-star that he's supposed to be out, and he was worth a chance. We don't have many chances to get a 5-star here, and he's never proven that. Then we wanted to give him a chance to prove that.
Just being humble, staying and listening to my coaches, and like I said, my teammates, just trying to be the best teammate I can be.
After missing extensive time, Cook is battling to not only return to where he once was, but to also continue to make strides to better himself in order to make his CCU career a success.
He wants it. I think he understands it. I think that he knows that the clock's running on him, and he wants to do this.
This offseason will be crucial for Cook. He'll need to continue to get his body right and expand his basketball IQ. If that happens, this one-time 5-star could reach that potential most believe he could coming out of high school.
Coach Ellis motivates me all the time. It definitely helps me. I lost a lot of weight in this offseason. He motivated me to do that. Coach Ellis, he always going to give us some challenges, and he going to motivate us to beat them.
Coach, you could really see Levi coming into his own, especially during the tournament run. He played some big minutes, made some nice plays, and you can just sense that he's starting to pick it up a little bit.
Well, he's got to get in shape. I think the offseason is big. He's got to get himself in shape. In the half-court game, he's a big guy. He sets big screens. He's down low. His mobility's got to get better, and he's got to run the floor better. So he'll make strides as we go in this offseason.
All right, the future's bright for Levi Cook, and it's bright for this Chanticleer basketball team. When we come back, we're going to close out the show, and we'll have more for you in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere.
The Cliff Ellis Show is brought to you by the Britton Law Firm.
Locals love creek rats for lunch. They say it's the fresh salads, fantastic wraps, and seafood baskets. But when you experience those incredible waterfront views, you get that relaxed creek rats attitude. Waterfront on the Marsh Walk in Murrells Inlet.
As fellow community members, HTC believes in helping friends and neighbors protect what matters most. With integrated home technology, I can control my home and security system from my smartphone. HTC Security makes my job easier and keeps my world running smoothly, no matter where the day takes me. HTC brings reliable, world-class security right here to Horry and Georgetown counties because you are here, and so are we.
Secure what matters most with HTC Connected Home.
HTC. This is life. Connect with it.
Waccamaw Land and Timber has been serving the Grand Strand since 1982. The ultimate goal of Waccamaw Land and Timber is the best interest of both the buyer and the seller. If you're looking for a place to relax, hunt, or fish, the professionals at Waccamaw Land and Timber can find you the perfect recreational property. Call 449-0441 to discuss your real estate needs with Waccamaw Land and Timber.
At Logan's Roadhouse, we grill up sizzling Southern-inspired flavor using time-honored recipes we've collected and perfected over time. From the inviting aromas of our wood-fired grilled steaks to our delicious from-scratch dishes with seasonings you can see, we know how to bring out food's true flavor. And when you pair our food with an ice-cold beer or our handcrafted Roadhouse tea, you'll understand why Logan's Roadhouse is much more than a restaurant. Come to where steak rules the road. Logan's Roadhouse.
Welcome back here to the Cliff Ellis Show. Coach, let's put a bow on the 2019-2020 season. The future's bright. We've talked about that several times. But you also know going into next season that you have the pieces in place, especially the foundation, to make a nice run next year.
Well, I think we do. One thing about this conference is very good. Very, very good. You can talk about the SEC and the ACC. There's teams in this conference can win teams in that league. I can tell you that. Doesn't get the notoriety it needs, but, like I said, it's not the Big South anymore. Keep in mind this, Winthrop won the Big South. We beat them at their place. All right, so that kind of this league will test you. And we've really not gone out with a full boat team. There's been injuries or circumstances that have kept us back. I think next year is going to be that year.
All right. Well, this is going to be our last show of the season. Coach, I know you wanted to say something about the sponsors and what they've meant to us.
Well, they've meant a lot, and we want to thank them for all that they've done to make this happen. And, Brandon, I want to thank you for being such a wonderful host and getting me through this. You've always been great at it, and you really take a lot of pride in what you do with sports in this area, and I thank you. It's been good being with you.
Well, Coach, I appreciate that. It's fun covering this basketball team. It's fun covering this this program. I wish I could go on the road with you guys like I used to. Yeah. I had a really good bond with the players. I still do. It's just not you bond more on the road, than you do at home. It's been fun, and I look forward to next season. I look forward to seeing what this team can accomplish because I think that they can do a lot of big things, and I know one day that this program is going to hoist that Sun Belt Conference tournament and getting back into the big dance. And like you said, if you can stay healthy, maybe next year's the year.
We got a chance at it. And thank you, fans, for being so supportive and following the show, but following our program. It's great that our community has gotten involved. Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching the Cliff Ellis Show. Remember, we'll be back next season for more Coastal Carolina men's basketball.
The Cliff Ellis Show is brought to you by Yellowwood Pressure-Treated Pine.
Locals love creek rats for lunch. They say it's the fresh salads, fantastic wraps, and seafood baskets. But when you experience those incredible waterfront views, you get that relaxed creek rats attitude. Waterfront on the Marsh Walk in Murrells Inlet.